Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It was a Thursday evening in our Phoenix home, that kind of still, dry night where the air barely moves. I was in the kitchen rinsing off the last dinner plate when Jessica, my wife, strolled in already dressed like she was heading to some downtown club, black jumpsuit, bold earrings, heels in hand. "I'm going to Macy's place," she said, not even looking at me. "Just us girls from the gym." The sponge paused in my hand. "Since when do you go out on a weeknight?" I asked, keeping my tone even. Jessica's eyes flicked up like I'd just insulted her intelligence. "Since I want to," she replied flatly. "Is that a problem?" I set the plate down gently. "I didn't say it was. Just, kind of strange you've never mentioned this before." She gave a sharp little laugh. "Oh my God, Mark. Do I need to run every little outing past you now?" "That's not what I said." I walked around the counter, drying my hands. "I'm just saying. This secretive vibe? It feels off." She turned on me fast. "Secretive? You're being paranoid. It's a couple women drinking cheap wine and complaining about squats. Relax." I nodded slowly. "Then why are you lying about it?" Her face darkened. "Excuse me. You flinched when you said her name. You're not even close with Macy. And you didn't answer my text this morning. I'm not accusing. But if something's going on, just be honest." She stared at me. Cold, narrowed eyes. Her breath held tight in her chest. "You know what? I don't have time for your little mind games tonight." I leaned against the counter. "It's not a game. It's our marriage. And I'm telling you something here doesn't feel right." "Well, maybe that's your issue," she snapped, stepping into her heels. "Not mine." She grabbed her purse, stormed toward the door, then turned back for one last hit. "I don't need your permission, Mark." I didn't respond. Just stood there, letting the silence stretch long enough for her to feel it. The door slammed so hard the picture frames in the hallway rattled. And just like that, she was gone. The house felt hollow, like it had been vacuum sealed in tension. I walked back to the dining table and sat down slowly, staring at her untouched glass of water. You could almost feel the air shiver, like even the house knew what had just shifted. I looked around at everything I'd built. Our perfectly staged living room, the pristine white cabinets we picked out together, the wedding photo still perched on the counter. And then I saw myself in the reflection of the microwave, same old Mark. Safe, dependable, always accommodating. But something cracked open inside me in that moment. A thin line of resolve I didn't even know I still had. If this was the game Jessica wanted to play, then fine. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't chase. I'd evolve. It started the very next morning. I got up before the sun and drove into downtown Phoenix, barely awake but fully determined. A place called Forge Studio, a private gym tucked between a juice bar and a real estate office. Clean floors, cold metal, no distractions. That first workout hit me like a slap to the ego. I could barely lift the bar without shaking. "Don't worry, man. You'll get there," said Marcus, my new trainer. Ex-military. Built like a stone wall but spoke like a therapist. "You're not here to impress anybody. You're here to reclaim ground." "Ground?" I asked between gasps. "Whatever someone took from you, that's your ground." So I kept showing up. 5 days a week, sometimes 6. I traded coffee for protein shakes, late night scrolling for early runs, and somewhere between the planks and pull-ups, I started to feel solid again. My shoulders filled out. Jaw sharpened. But more than that, my posture changed. The way I walked into rooms. The way I met people's eyes. 2 months later, even my reflection looked like someone I hadn't seen in years. At home, Jessica noticed. At first, it was little things, longer looks when I walked by, her eyes pausing on my arms when I reached for a glass. I didn't say anything. Neither did she. But there was a shift, like we both knew the old balance had tipped. One evening, I came in from the garage wearing a tight black tee, still sweating from a late lift. Jessica was sitting on the couch, scrolling on her phone. She looked up and lingered. "Did you cut your hair?" she asked, voice neutral but curious. I nodded, grabbed a water bottle from the fridge. "Yeah, yesterday." Her eyes followed me. "Looks good. Thanks." I turned away, but in the reflection of the microwave door, I caught her still watching me. That same look she used to give me in our early days, before comfort, before routine dulled the edges. She tried to play it off. Tucked her hair behind her ear, returned to her screen. Later that night, as we both got ready for bed, I noticed her taking a little more time in front of the mirror, lip balm, skin cream, hair brushed out just right. She hadn't done that in weeks. She stood by the closet, arms folded. You're working out a lot lately. Yeah. You trying to impress someone? Her tone was teasing, but something brittle hid beneath it. I met her eyes in the mirror. Just myself. Jessica didn't say anything right away. She turned, opened a drawer, and pretended to look for something. Well, it's working. The room went quiet again, but not the usual cold silence. This one had an edge of uncertainty, like we were both waiting for the other to say something neither of us knew how to voice. Over the next few days, it continued. She made dinner on a Wednesday night. Salmon and asparagus, the way I liked it. No explanation. No sarcasm. Just a plate waiting for me when I got home. I figured you'd want something clean, she said. I nodded. Thanks. We ate in silence, but it wasn't tense. Just quiet. Like she was watching, calculating. That weekend, I caught her looking through my side of the closet. Her fingers paused on a fitted navy button-down I hadn't worn in over a year. You planning on wearing this anytime soon? She asked. Maybe. Why? She shrugged. Just noticed you've been dressing a little different lately. Feels new. I looked her straight in the eye. That's the idea. Jessica blinked, taken off guard by my tone. Not angry, not defensive, just honest. She stepped back. Well, you look good. Really good. For the first time in a long while, she sounded unsure. And that's when I knew something in her had shifted. But me? I wasn't shifting with her. I was moving forward. Sunday dinner at her mother's house had always been a polite performance. Roasted chicken, crystal glasses no one asked for, and a dozen little jabs disguised as just being honest. Jessica played the role of perfect daughter. I played the part of quiet husband. This time, though, something was different. We pulled up just before sunset. I was wearing a fitted navy button-down, the one she'd commented on, and dark jeans. Jessica hadn't said much on the drive. Just kept checking her lipstick in the mirror, like trying to reassert control over something slipping out of her hands. Her mom, Lorraine, met us at the door with that high-pitched warmth she used when company came over. Mark, you look sharp, sweetheart. Did you lose weight? A bit, I said with a small smile. Just been taking better care of myself lately. Lorraine patted my arm. Well, it suits you. You look like a man who knows where he's going. Jessica gave a tight smile. Yeah, doesn't he just? Inside, her sister Lena was already pouring wine. 5 years younger than Jessica, and 10 times more honest. She'd always been kind to me. Observant, curious, never fake. She handed me a glass and raised an eyebrow. Whoa, who even are you right now? I laughed. Still me, just. A little more awake. Lena leaned against the counter, studying me. Seriously though, you look amazing. Way more confident. There's like a whole different energy around you now. Jessica's voice cut through the room, sharp and sudden. Lena, that's enough. Lena blinked, confused. What? You don't need to drool all over my husband. Jessica snapped, too loud for the small space. It's weird. The room went still. Lorraine turned from the stove, spatula frozen midair. I could feel every pair of eyes shift to me, waiting for some kind of reaction. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even frown. I stepped closer to Jessica, placed a calm, steady hand on her shoulder. Hey, I said gently, can we cool down a bit? She froze. Like the contact startled her. I didn't squeeze. Didn't press. Just rested my hand there long enough to remind her, not just of the moment, but of the shift. Her jaw tensed. I saw her inhale through her nose. Then she gave a clipped nod. Fine. She stepped away from me and disappeared into the dining room without another word. Lena looked at me, wide-eyed. Wow. Lorraine cleared her throat, trying to bring the room back to center. Well, the roast is ready. Let's all sit. Dinner carried on, but the tone had changed. Jessica didn't say much. I kept conversation light. Asked Lena about her new apartment, helped Lorraine bring the sides in, offered to pour water. Nothing showy. Just grounded. At one point, I caught Jessica watching me from across the table, fork paused midair. Her expression was hard to read. Not anger, exactly, but something bordering on suspicion. After dessert, Lena pulled me aside near the doorway. I wasn't trying to make things weird, she whispered. I just meant it. You really seem better. I nodded. Thanks for saying that. She looked over her shoulder, toward where Jessica was fiddling with the coffee cups. Just be careful. She's not used to not being the center of gravity. I gave her a soft smile. Yeah, I'm starting to notice that. It was a Thursday night, just past 9, when Jessica came into the living room with her phone in hand and a look I hadn't seen in a while, polished, upbeat, but too rehearsed. Her eyes flicked to my glass of water, then to the TV. "There's a party on Saturday," she said, like she was offering me a favor. "Tanya from the gym's throwing it. Big place up in Scottsdale, rooftop view. Everyone's going." I muted the game. "You want me to come?" She nodded slowly. "Yeah, I figured it might be fun. Good to get out, you know?" There was a pause, the kind that presses in behind your ribs. I sat back, arms crossed. "All right, I'll come, if you apologize to Lena." Jessica's head snapped. "What?" I said, "I'll go. If you apologize for how you spoke to your sister at your mom's." She stared at me like I'd just switched languages. "You're kidding." "Nope. You're holding a party hostage over that?" I didn't blink. "You embarrassed her in front of everyone. She didn't deserve it." Jessica's lips tightened. "You're defending her now? My sister?" "I'm defending what's right." She let out a breathless laugh, sharp as glass. "Unbelievable. You flirt with her all through dinner, letting her praise you like some runway model. And I'm the one who needs to apologize?" I frowned but stayed calm. "You really think that's what that was?" "Oh, come on, Mark." She tossed her phone on the coffee table, stepping closer. "You think I didn't see it? Her eyes on you, your eyes back? The new muscles, the new clothes. Suddenly you've got the attention you always wanted. And now you're parading it around like a prize." I kept my voice even. "Jessica, I didn't flirt. I said thank you. You're the one who turned it into something else." She folded her arms, pacing now. "You think I don't see what this is? You've been waiting for this moment, to flip the script, to make me the problem." "No," I said simply. "I've just stopped playing along." She stopped walking. Her expression shifted, a flicker of something behind her anger. Then her voice dropped, colder than before. "You're not good enough for me, Mark." It didn't land the way she expected. I didn't flinch, didn't fire back. I just nodded once. "Maybe not." I reached for the remote, unmuted the game, and leaned back on the couch. Jessica stood there, silent, stunned, like she had more to say but couldn't find the next move. I didn't give her one. Eventually, she picked up her phone and walked toward the hallway. 10 minutes later, I heard the faint beat of music playing from the speaker in the other room. Then, slowly, it stopped. The house went quiet again, and when I passed by the living room an hour later, she was sitting alone on the couch, legs tucked under her, scrolling through old photos on her phone, volume low, shoulders still. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. The digital clock on my nightstand blinked 1:04 a.m. in slow, accusing red. I'd been lying there for hours, eyes wide open, body still but mind loud, stuck replaying her words on a loop. "You're not good enough for me." It wasn't even the insult that kept me up. It was how easy it had been for her to say it. How natural, like she'd rehearsed it long before it ever made it past her lips. I got up, pulled on a hoodie, and left the house without looking back. The desert air was cool, dry, a rare kind of clean that only happens when most of the city's asleep. I walked with no real direction, just moving, breathing, letting the silence settle into me. At some point, I pulled out my phone and opened it, not really knowing why. No messages from Jessica, no missed calls. But Lena's name was glowing at the top, green dot, online. She messaged first. "Lena, you good?" I stared at the screen a moment, then typed back. "Me? Out walking. Couldn't sleep." The reply came almost instantly. "Lena, I'm up. Come over if you want. I've got tea and a decent view of nothing." 15 minutes later, I was standing outside her small second-floor apartment. It was quiet, no lights on in the other units. Just Lena, barefoot on her balcony, a thin blanket over her shoulders, holding 2 mugs. "Hope you like peppermint," she said, handing me one without ceremony. "I'll survive," I said, sitting down in the chair beside her. We sipped in silence for a while. The view wasn't spectacular, rooftops, the glow of a faraway gas station, but it felt like peace. It felt like the first real breath I'd taken in weeks. Lena glanced over at me. "So, you want to talk about her?" I shook my head slowly. "Not really. I've said everything I can say." She nodded. "Okay, then let's talk about you." I gave her a sideways glance. "Me?" She shrugged. "Yeah, you. The guy who just showed up at his sister-in-law's place at 1 in the morning, drinking peppermint tea on a random Thursday." I let out a small laugh. "I guess I'm figuring it out." We're trying to. We sat there a little longer, the breeze brushing past us like a whisper. Can I ask you something? She said after a while. Sure. Do you still want to be married to her? The question landed softer than I expected, not like a punch, but like a nudge. I thought about it. About the years we spent building a life, the vacations, the house, the inside jokes that turned into habits. I thought about the silence, the nights apart, even while sleeping inches away. I don't know, I answered truthfully. Sometimes I think I miss what we were. Other times I wonder if I ever really had her to begin with. Lena nodded, like she already understood. It's weird, I added, staring at my hands. I didn't change to hurt her. I changed because I needed to. But now that I have, it's like she can't stand who I've become. She can't control you anymore, Lena said simply. And that scares her. There was no malice in her voice. Just clarity. She's not a bad person, I said, more to myself than to Lena. No, but she's someone who needs to feel above. And for a long time, you let her stay there. I thought that was love, I admitted. Maybe it was. Or maybe it was comfort. She turned to face me, eyes clear and quiet. You know, people think relationships fall apart because of drama or betrayal. But sometimes they just end, quietly, like an echo fading out. I looked at her. And then what? Then you choose, she said. You either stay and start lying to yourself about why, or you walk away and figure out who you are outside of it. I didn't say anything for a long time. The tea had gone cold in my hands. The air was warmer now, softer. We didn't speak for the next few minutes. We just sat there, shoulder to shoulder, watching the night drift by like a slow train in the distance. When I finally stood to leave, Lena looked up and said, You don't owe anyone the old version of yourself, Mark. I didn't know how to respond, so I just nodded. Then I walked back into the desert dark, feeling lighter than when I'd arrived. It was nearly 4 a.m. by the time I made it back to Lena's apartment. She hadn't gone to bed. Still out on the balcony, knees tucked under the same blanket, earbuds in. You sure? She asked as I stepped back out. I nodded. Didn't feel like going home. She didn't press. Just moved over so I could sit. I think we both knew the conversation was over. What was left between us wasn't words. It was stillness. Clarity. A shared quiet you can't fake. That's when my phone started buzzing. Once. Then again. Then again. Jessica. The screen lit up with her name over and over again, her voice bleeding through the speakers in half-formed voicemails. Mark, where are you? It's the middle of the night. Why aren't you answering? Then came the texts. Jessica, are you okay? Jessica, where did you go? Jessica, Mark, seriously, this isn't funny. Jessica, just tell me you're okay. Please. I held the phone, thumb hovering over the call button. Then I looked up at Lena. She gave a small nod. No push, no question. Just a silent go-ahead. So I called. Jessica picked up instantly. Mark. Her voice cracked, small and frantic. Where are you? I woke up and you were gone, and your location's off, and I didn't know if something happened. I'm fine, I said, quiet but steady. There was a long pause. Her breathing was sharp, unsteady. You can't just disappear in the middle of the night. I thought something happened. Why would you do that to me? I wasn't trying to punish you. Then what were you doing? I looked out into the night, let the silence stretch before answering. Thinking, walking, talking with someone who actually listens. Jessica sniffed hard. Oh, okay. So you ran off to play philosopher in the dark while I'm here losing my mind. I needed space, Jess. From what? Me? Us. Her voice cracked again. You think I don't know things are bad? I know, Mark. I feel it too, okay? I don't know what to say anymore. Then say something honest. She went quiet. I waited. You've changed, she whispered. Everything's different now. You're so distant, cold. And it's like you're just waiting for me to slip up again so you can walk. No, I said. I'm waiting for you to stop pretending that nothing's changed. She started crying then. Not loud, but those shallow, panicked sobs she used to save for when things truly slipped from her grip. You don't understand how it feels to watch you drift away. To feel like I can't reach you. Like I'm already losing. You started letting go long before I ever did, I said gently. Jessica's voice broke. I just want us back. I want. Before. I looked across the balcony. Lena didn't speak, didn't even look over, just stared into the dark, her face soft but firm. She didn't smile. She didn't frown. She just nodded. And in that moment, I knew. I knew exactly what had to happen next. Jessica, I said, my voice clearer than it had been in weeks. We can't keep pretending this version of us still works. We've been lying to ourselves, and it's killing whatever pieces might have been worth saving. She didn't answer. I could only hear her breathing, shaky and shallow, through the line. I let the silence hold. Then I said, we'll talk in the morning. And I hung up. Lena finally looked over, eyes searching mine. You okay? I nodded once. I am now. The downtown law office was cold, all glass and sharp lines, tucked between a bank and a bakery, just starting to open for the day. I was there right when the doors unlocked. The receptionist didn't ask many questions. She just glanced at my name on the schedule, then motioned toward a quiet corner office with frosted windows. The lawyer's name was Dean Miles. Late 40s, calm voice, the kind of guy who didn't rush a single word. He asked me how long we'd been married, if there were kids, if I had reason to believe she'd contest the divorce. No kids, I said, and she might contest it emotionally, but not legally. He nodded, tapping out a few notes on his keyboard. When he asked why I'd finally decided to file, I didn't give a long speech. I just said, it's been over for a while. I was the last one to admit it. An hour later, everything was in motion. The drive home was silent. My hands on the wheel, the desert sun already climbing. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel relief, either. Just something still, like I'd finally stopped swimming upstream. When I opened the front door, the house felt heavier somehow. Dim. Jessica was still in bed when I stepped into the bedroom. She stirred, one arm flung over her forehead, then blinked at me with that puffy, morning after confusion. You're back early, she mumbled. I didn't sit, just stood there, calm and clear. I met with a lawyer this morning. That got her attention. She sat up slowly. What? I started the process, I said. Divorce papers are in motion. For a second, she didn't react. Like the words hadn't landed. Then they did. Wait, Mark, what are you talking about? Her voice sharpened, waking fast. You're divorcing me? I am. She scrambled out of the sheets, hair tangled, panic climbing in her voice. No, you're not doing this. We haven't even talked. Last night was. You said we'd talk in the morning. And we are, I said. This is the talk. Her voice broke. You can't just make a decision like that without even letting me try. I gave you years to try, I said. You were just too comfortable to notice. She looked stunned, wounded. So that's it. You've decided? After one emotional night on someone else's balcony, you're done? I didn't take the bait. I didn't make this decision last night, I said. I made it the moment I realized I wasn't afraid of walking away. I moved past her, opened the closet, and pulled out a suitcase. Just one. That's when she really broke. Tears hit fast and messy. Her voice went high and uneven. Mark, don't do this. Please. I know I've messed up, but I didn't think you'd actually leave. I know, I said quietly. That's the problem. She stood there, frozen, as I packed just enough for a week. A few shirts, a pair of running shoes, my passport, my watch. No ceremony. No drama. When I zipped it up and turned to go, she reached for my arm. Don't go. I looked at her hand, then at her face. I already did. And I walked out. The short-term rental wasn't much. A clean two-bedroom tucked near the foot of South Mountain, with a gravel driveway and a porch that creaked when the wind blew. But it was quiet. And more than that, it was mine. For the first time in years, I didn't have to navigate around another mood, another ego, another silent war waiting behind a slammed door. Just sunlight, space, and my own 2 feet on solid ground. That first morning, I made black coffee and watched the sky change color behind the ridge. No music, no chatter, just the distant sound of tires on gravel and a hawk somewhere overhead. I spent the day doing ordinary things. Laundry, setting up Wi-Fi, putting groceries into cabinets that didn't remind me of anyone. Each task felt strange at first, like I was borrowing someone else's life. But by the time night came, it felt like a beginning. The divorce paperwork moved fast. Dean sent over the next steps. I skimmed them over breakfast without feeling much of anything. No spike of guilt, no nervous breath, just a steady kind of understanding. This was what closure looked like. Boring, practical, clean. Jessica, on the other hand, unraveled by the hour. The voice messages started just after noon. First calm, then teary, then rambling. I don't understand how you can just disappear like that. You're making this bigger than it needs to be, Mark. Okay. Maybe I deserve some of this. But you said we were a team. Then came the texts. Jessica, can we just talk, please? Jessica, I didn't mean what I said. About you not being good enough. That was anger. Jessica, you said you loved me. Did that mean nothing? She sent pictures. Old ones. Us at the lake, me holding her waist, both of us laughing. The kind of photo people frame before they start drifting apart. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to explain. That silence, the one that used to hang heavy between us, it felt different now. It wasn't dead space anymore. It was peace. Later that night, I sat on the porch with a glass of water and pulled out my phone. There was one person I did want to message. Me, settled in. Finally breathing. The reply came less than a minute later. Lena, smiling face with smiling eyes, that was it. No questions. No assumptions. Just quiet support, exactly how I needed it. I leaned back in the chair and watched the stars begin to flicker to life. The desert cooled, the wind picked up, and I realized something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. I didn't miss her. Not the real her. Not the version I kept pretending still existed. And for the first time in years, that didn't feel like a failure. It felt like freedom. The sun had just dipped behind the mountain when I pulled into our old driveway. The shadows stretched long across the street, washing the neighborhood in that slow, golden fade that always made the place look better than it deserved. Jessica was already outside, pacing on the walkway in front of the porch, arms wrapped around herself like she was bracing against something colder than the air. Her hair was pulled back in a way that told me she wanted to seem composed, but her steps gave her away, restless, spiraling. She turned when she saw me, her face a tight mixture of relief and panic. You came, she said, half running toward the car before I'd even closed the door. I stood there by the driver's side, arms crossed, not moving forward. I said I would, I replied. She stopped a few feet from me. I wasn't sure. You haven't answered anything. I needed to see you. I nodded once. So talk. Jessica's voice cracked before she even started. I don't want this. I don't want it to end like this, Mark. I know I've messed up, but you leaving, it ripped everything out from under me. I didn't speak. I didn't move. I just listened. She stepped closer. I was wrong. About everything. About the way I treated you, the things I said. I've been angry for so long, and I didn't even realize how much I was pushing you away. I thought you'd never leave. I thought you'd just keep being there. Still, I said nothing. I didn't mean it when I said you weren't good enough for me, she went on. I was scared. I saw you changing, and I didn't know what to do with that. You weren't mine anymore. I finally looked at her. Was I ever? Her eyes welled fast. I wanted you to be. I didn't know how to handle losing control. And there it was. The first real truth of the night. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her sweater, voice barely steady. We can fix this. We can try. I'll do therapy. We can do whatever you want. A low rumble broke through her words. We both turned at the same time. A black car, beat up, older model, rolled slowly to the curb and stopped in front of the house. The headlights flicked off. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. Hood up, gray jeans, clean sneakers, early 30s, maybe. He didn't look like a threat, just someone who clearly wasn't expecting to walk into the middle of a breakdown. Jessica froze. Her face drained in real time. Whatever color had returned to her cheeks vanished instantly. The man raised his hand, confused. Jess. I turned to her. She didn't meet my eyes. Who is that? I asked, though I already knew. She swallowed hard. He wasn't supposed to come. Who is he? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Just someone from the gym. It didn't mean anything. Right. I looked back at the man, who seemed to finally piece together who I was. His eyes went wide, but he didn't move. Jessica's voice cracked again. It started before the party. That night. That's why I got so defensive. I panicked. And then, after that, it just kept happening. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't interrupt. I didn't ask for more. I just stood there as she tried to force it all out. Each sentence like a breath she couldn't finish. I thought if I could make you feel guilty, it would even things out. I kept waiting for you to mess up so I wouldn't feel so awful about what I'd done. She stepped toward me again, hand out. But I do. I feel awful. Please, Mark. Please don't let this be how we end. I looked at her hand, then past it, at the man now standing awkwardly near the mailbox, arms crossed, staring at the pavement. Then I met her eyes. You already ended it. I turned and walked back toward my car. Behind me, I heard her voice twist, rage snapping like dry wood. "What are you doing here?" she yelled at him. "I told you not to come." The man mumbled something I couldn't hear. Jessica screamed louder. "You ruined everything." I didn't turn back. Didn't need to. Some endings don't require words. Only distance. And that's exactly what I gave her. The mediation room was as impersonal as they come. Gray chairs, white walls, a ticking clock that sounded louder than it needed to. No windows. No comfort. Just a table that seemed wider than it really was. Jessica sat across from me, dressed in her best version of composed. Beige blazer, flawless makeup, lips pressed tight like she was still trying to hold some kind of ground. But her hands gave her away. They trembled every time she reached for her water, every time her pen hovered over the papers in front of her. Dean sat to my right, calm and unreadable as always. He slid the stack forward. "All assets were purchased under Mr. Davis's name," he said clearly. "The house, both vehicles, investments, and savings. There are no shared children, no shared debt. The prenuptial agreement holds." Jessica's lawyer didn't argue. He just shifted awkwardly and cleared his throat like he wanted to disappear. Jessica didn't look at me. Not at first. Her hand tightened around the pen. "So, I walk away with nothing?" Dean was measured. "You walk away with what's yours. But everything else stays with Mr. Davis." Her throat moved like she was swallowing something bitter. "He bought the house after we got married. I lived there. That was my home too." "It was," I said quietly. "But you never treated it like ours." That made her look at me. Really look. I don't know what she expected to see. Maybe the man she used to push around. Maybe someone broken or still hoping. But what she saw was a man who had nothing left to give her. And he wasn't angry. He was free. She blinked hard, then finally signed. Her initials scratched awkwardly down the margins, each signature slower than the last. When it was done, she set the pen down carefully, like it was something fragile. "You really aren't coming back from this, are you?" she asked, voice small. I shook my head. "I already left." She nodded once. It wasn't agreement. It was surrender. I stood, shook Dean's hand, and tucked the final copy of the agreement under my arm. Jessica sat motionless. I paused at the door for a second, not out of doubt, not out of regret, just to take in the moment. She looked up at me one last time, but I had nothing left to say, so I walked out. And this time, there was no one behind me. The lakeside coffee shop was half empty, tucked into a bend of shoreline where the water moved slow and the light hit everything soft. The kind of place that didn't need music to feel calm. I was already there when Lena walked in, denim jacket, hair tied back, that same quiet confidence she carried even in silence. She spotted me, gave a small smile, then slid into the seat across from me without a word. We didn't need pleasantries. Not after everything. She glanced at the coffee in front of me. "You didn't wait? You were 10 minutes late." She raised an eyebrow. "Was not." I smirked. 7 then. We both let the silence settle. Not heavy, just full of everything that didn't need to be said. Eventually, Lena looked out at the water. "So, it's all official?" "Signed. Filed. Done," I said. Felt like walking out of a long hallway that never had a door until now. She nodded slowly. Funny how long we stay in things we know aren't right, just because leaving feels heavier than staying. I watched a ripple move across the lake. Sometimes we think we're protecting what we built, but what we're really doing is guarding the ruins. Lena smiled, not at me, just at the truth of it. "You didn't lose anything today," she said. "You let go of something that already let go of you." I looked at her, really looked. "You've got a way of saying things like they've been sitting in my chest the whole time." She shrugged. "I just pay attention." The waitress came by. Lena ordered a tea. I topped off my coffee. Then she leaned in a little. "Don't try to rebuild something cracked at the foundation. Sometimes the real healing starts when you stop patching holes and walk towards something new." I didn't answer. Not right away. We both turned toward the horizon. The sun was just starting to climb, casting light across the lake like a path. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't trying to go back. I was ready to go forward. And that was the end of my story. But there's something I keep thinking about. Lena saw the truth before I did, and never once used it to sway me. She never overstepped, never pushed, just stood steady and let me come to my own choice. Do you think she did the right thing by staying silent? Or should she have told me earlier what she really saw in Jessica? Let me know in the comments. I really want to hear what you think. And if this story made you feel something, Don't forget to like and subscribe. There's more to come.